John Foxx at the Roundhouse, London. We're doing a concert which is concerned with analog equipment, and we're going to do a tour of some of the equipment here. All of it's pretty antique and some of it's fairly fragile, so I think the concert's going to be interesting and risky. This is my old vocoder, Roland VP330. Coincidentally used also by Laurie Anderson on Oh Superman. Great piece of equipment, used it a lot in the Garden album, and I use it a lot also on Pleasures of Electricity because it's a really beautiful, perfect analog sound. It's when Roland were at the peak of making the synthesizers and other sound transformation devices. And I love the human voices in it and the strings as well, because they've got that classic sort of reedy, thin sound that is actually a godsend when you're mixing tracks, because you can put that in as a sort of thin band of stuff right at the top of the track. And I always think of it as an horizon that you can put in there whenever you want to. And it's really wonderful to use on choruses and that sort of thing. And we just recorded with it recently as well on some of the new tracks we've done with together as John Foxx and the Math. This is my setup, very simple, vocoder plus, which is this thing, and a digital reverb lexicon because it's easy to program. And I play all my harmonies myself, and I find it easier that way. I even do all the effects, which I have to play on underpass and all the 80s stuff, the very early synth stuff, 70s stuff actually. It's easier than having more than one vocalist, and it's often how I recorded the tracks anyway. So that's what I like to do. I know all the parts and I can play them live just as I did in the studio. What have we got here? Juno 60, which I really love because it does arpeggios, and it's one of the first synths that had an arpeggiator built into it. And when I bought this, I was delighted because it didn't seem terribly expensive then. It was about 600 quid. But now it seems ridiculous, of course. But it makes a beautiful sound. It's a proper analog synth. It doesn't sound anything like the ARP, which is a much more pointed sound, which we'll get to later, next to it actually. And that was the first synth I got, and that is the synth that made Metamatic. And it is the one that I got all the sounds out of, with a couple of Moog interventions. And that's my favourite synth because it's the best sound making tool I've ever had, I think. But this is pretty good, the Juno. I'm beginning to use that more and more now. I've started playing with it, recording it and looping things as well. So it's an interesting combination of digital and analog. And you can do an awful lot with that. Even though we're beginning to go back to tape recorders now. We're starting to record onto tape again. And 8-track tape as well, because it limits you in an interesting way. What else have we got? The Moog, of course, which is classic mini Moog. I always call them mini Moogs, because that's what we used to call them early on, until we heard Americans calling them Moogs. So now they become Moogs. But again, that's got the unique property that everyone knows. It's got the thickest bass in the world, and it's capable of delivering very low frequencies very quickly, which is quite difficult, and Robert made that possible. It's also got very wide spectrum sound available in it. That's why we love these things so much. But it's rich and creamy, whereas that one's nasty and spiky and bell-like sometimes and aggressive. This one's much more round and full and big and wide. And the two together are just magnificent, I think. Which is a Yamaha digital number. It's the only digital thing that we use. But Louis got very familiar with it. I think it's great if you know a piece of equipment inside out. You can do all kinds of magical things with it, and that's what Louis achieves with that. It was a cheap keyboard we bought because it was almost a giveaway price, and it turned out to be really good. So Yamaha built loads of deep frequencies into it for the first time and copied lots of analog sounds, so it's very useful, even though it is essentially imitative. But it's still got something of its own that we use, and I just use it on the tracks that we're doing with Louis, the 3 tracks.
Hi, yeah, my name's Steve D'Agostino. We're at the Roundhouse with a band with John Foxx. I've been working with John's on and off since '93, and it's the first time we bought this much voltage control equipment on stage. So it's pretty scary, but run through stuff have been pretty good. We've connected systems across the room using control voltage and gates, and we've got down to what we think is kind of a safe, kind of minimal setup with minimal tuning issues. We have more stuff, but it wouldn't hold in this environment. So what we've pared down, what I've personally pared down to are this H2, which has been used on a mishmash of things, mathematic stuff and the live Ultravox stuff. A Wasp, which when it works, has been used for textures and segues. 700, called 700, which has been used for reasonable-ish res stuff. So it's got a flange on it, it's got an echo on it. So it's doing a poor impersonation of the Odyssey, so it's beefing up the Odyssey parts. System 100, which is doing a lot of bass parts. Not what you normally expect from this kind of series of rolling stuff. It's not that heavy, but because it's dual oscillators, we managed to sort of detune them quite nicely and just split the octaves. The delay machine has been used, this Boss delay machine has been used a lot for weird feedback parts, and again textural parts, most of the Ultravox stuff. And the tape is being used just for mathematic stuff. We try to be as authentic as possible. Gareth recorded into 8 tracks, so the stuff we physically can't play, sonically we can't get, so bits of the rhythm track, but it's all being played live, so there are rhythm bits that are impossible to play. Just sonically, we don't lose the sound. Segue pieces. What we've done is there's obviously we now have time. We can't just pick a button and go to the next sound. So I'm using the Mofo as segue pieces. So we brought a piece of new kit into an old setup, but it's Dave Smith's kit, so we thought it was fine. There's a Maestro phase shifter on the back of there, which is being used just for subtle phasing. That was made by Tom Oberheim when we started Oberheim. So it's pre-Oberheim. Sort of standard. And it's kind of it really, kind of minimal, and just a couple of pedals, just some junk pedals. We had better pedals, but they broke, so we brought in ultra cheap, I should say, flanger, because the ultra good one broke. That's kind of it really. So this side is some bass, segue parts, some melodies, and some trigger pulses. This is being used quite a lot for trigger pulses.
Okay, my name's Benge. I'm here to help on the John Foxx gig. We've got a new project together called The Maths, and it's kind of using analog synths a lot and old school equipment. And this is our setup for the live event here at the Roundhouse. We're actually attempting to use some vintage gear, for live, which is always a bit of a gamble. But we've decided to give it a go. We've even connected up CV and gate between several different systems, so it's really sort of touch and go, this one. But anyway, yeah, we've got it all up and running. I can show you around some bits. We've got first off is the Simmons, which is like these pads are the old school 80s pads. That's like a modern Roland thing. But these are connected through to this brain here, which are different sort of drum modules. And yeah, so they're kind of pretty old school sounding. Then we've got a Monopoly, a Korg Monopoly, which is I'm using mainly as like a bass synthesizer because it's such a massive sounding bass engine. Roland 808, which is our main clock, which is triggering through to the different areas of the stage. We've got stuff going on with the Juno, stuff over there with the Roland modular, and the little Roland keyboard, and then my modulars here, which is the Roland, the System 100, and it's actually a .com system, but all being clocked here from the 808. And we're also using some bass drum sounds off this as well, because that sounds crazy on these big speakers. And then we got just a Roland SH101, which I'm using as a kind of arpeggiated thing in a couple of tracks. Yeah, so it's kind of hoping it's all going to work for us today.